Sadashiva-samarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Param varishtam brahmishtam Paramananda-rupinam Paramarthananda-yatim Sadgurum pranatosmyaham. Yeah, before I start, you would have observed that the chanting keeps switching between different chandas. That is how it is. And I have followed the tunes that are meant to be used for the corresponding chandas. And I've also tried to follow what Swamiji normally uses for his chanting. But it is very difficult to chant everything together. So I've done my best because I would like you all to get familiar with the verses. That's all. If there is any singer who can follow this and give me a recording, I'll be more than happy to take it and we can, put it up with the slides. So anybody who knows can attempt. Thank you. Okay. Of the 7 questions that we were seeing, I keep putting the slides so that you remember this verse 25. Ko nama bandaha katamesha agataha, right? So of the 7 questions, the 5th question is being answered by the teacher, which is kaha asau anatma. What is anatma? It is not the self, and the entire world comes under anatma because it is an object of experience. But what Acharya wants to emphasize is our body also should come under anatma. It should be treated as part of the world, not as part of me, the self. So that's what Krishna calls a kshetram in the 13th chapter. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ithyabhidhiyate. And later he says the entire world is kshetram. Body is also kshetram, meaning our body should be treated as anatma only. So the body is divided into 3 layers, of which we have seen the first 2, Sthula Shariram and Sukshma Shariram, the gross body and the subtle body. And now we have entered into the causal body, the finest layer of our personality. And that is being defined in these 3 verses, a set of 3 heavy verses. And we were seeing this 31st verse in the last class. It was Avyaktanamni Paramesha Shaktihi Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para Karyanumeya Sudhiyaiva Maya Yaya Jagat Sarvam Idam Prasuyate. So here Shankaracharya talks about the seed of the entire universe, which was existing even before the creation of the universe, right? So he named the seed Avyaktam. And in that Avyaktam, the seed, 2 things are there. One is responsible for the creation of the macro universe, which is called Karana Prapancha, the seed of the cosmos. And the seed also contains all our Sthula Sukshma Sharirams known as Karana Shariram. Thus, Karana Prapancha and Karana Shariram always go together. So the seed of the universe goes along with the seed of the body, Karana Prapancha and Karana Shariram. And we must remember that we can differentiate this only after the creation. Before evolution, we cannot even differentiate Karana Prapancha and Karana Shariram. We can differentiate them only after the creation. So that is why the mixture has been given the title Avyaktam, indistinct, right? Later we make a finer division, which is more conventional. So the Karana Prapancha is called Maya. The Karana Shariram is called Avidya. This is the finer distinction. The Karana Prapancha is called Maya. The Karana Shariram is called Avidya. And please note, many times, quite often, they are interchangeably used in the Shastra. And this Avyaktam is also called Shakti, or the potential, because of which Shakti alone, the entire universe emerges, becomes active. Therefore, it is called Paramesha Shaktihi, right? So until this we saw actually in the last class. So we have to carefully note that Parameshwaraha, the supreme God, should be understood as the consciousness principle, the eternal, all-pervading consciousness principle, which was there even before the origin of the universe. That consciousness is called Parameshwaraha. And Avyaktam is called the Shakti, the power. So in Puranic language, we say God creates the universe out of his Maya Shakti. So all of them are synonyms. Avyaktam, Shaktihi, Avidya, Maya, right? So, and in the second line, we saw Karyanumeya. This Maya Shakti or seed, we cannot sensorily perceive because it is undifferentiated. But by inference, you can make out. Like when you see a child, you know the child must have had parents, right? Similarly, universe has a seed called Maya Avyaktam, which is Karya Anumeya, meaning it is inferable, presumable from its effect by the Sudhiya. Sudhiya means wise people, by an intelligent seeker. And intelligence here, this is very important for us to note, is not pure logic, right? So it is not some science or math class where just pure intelligence you can discern this. No, nor is it cosmology. It is Shruti Anugrihita Tarkaha, right? A logic which is complemented by the Shastra Pramanam, right? So Karyanumeya Sudhiyaiva Maya, by such a person alone, this Maya is knowable, right? So let's continue now. Sannapya Sannapyubhayatmikano
सन्नाप्युभयात्मिकानो
भिन्नाप्यभिन्नाप्युभयात्मिकानो
भिन्नाप्यभिन्नाप्युभयात्मिकानो
साङ्गाप्यनङ्गाह्युभयात्मिकानो
साङ्गाप्यनङ्गाह्युभयात्मिकानो
महाद्भुता निर्वचनीयरूपा
महाद्भुता निर्वचनीयरूपा.
So it's an extremely important verse. This particular verse, many times Swamiji quotes this. So all these verses are the ones that we are seeing are very important, but this one is extremely important. So it is an important feature which is getting covered here of Avyaktam. So first is, we saw Avyaktam as the cause of the universe, which is one feature. It has Vikshepa Shakti or creative power and Avarana Shakti or concealing power. We saw this. And Avyaktam is the power of the Lord. Paramesha Shakti, he is another feature. Now the fourth and very important feature is added, and that is Mahadbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa, right? So this Maya or Avidya or Shakti is Mahadbhuta, a great wonder, not an ordinary wonder, but a great wonder. And Anirvachaniya Rupa. This Anirvachaniya word will come in several advanced texts, right? So it is not clearly defined, indefinable, intellectually uncategorizable, logically unclassifiable. Therefore, it will always be a challenge for our intellect. In fact, intellect will be overwhelmed because exactly like, when you get deeper into the cause of the universe, the scientists have this problem, right? So it is like looking at, glaring at the sun, right? In the sunlight, and eyes no doubt have seeing power, but when you try to see the sun in the mid-noon with the naked eye, what happens? The eyes are overwhelmed and you will not be able to see anything, right? Not only that, even after moving the eyes for a few seconds, you can't see anything. So powerful is the sunlight. Similarly, Maya is such an elusive concept that we will not be able to clearly label it. So I remember about 3 classes back, somebody asked me, if Brahman and Maya are two different things, how do you handle that? It is Dvaitam. So I asked that person specifically, whoever asked me that question, to please focus in today's class. This is exactly the topic of today's class. Okay. So Maya is such an elusive concept that we will not only be able to, we cannot clearly label it. And the intellect always wants to attach a tag or a label to something, right? Every virus, everything that we find, first thing we want to do is we want to classify them and label them. Then alone we can handle them. That is how the sense organs are. So the human mind can handle something only when it is classified or identified. And Vedanta says Maya is a peculiar entity and that we will not be able to classify in any manner. Here, 9 types of indefinability are talked about. Okay, 3 in each line. So what is it? Maya doesn't fit into any of them, right? None of them you can use to classify it. And therefore, it is called anirvachaniyam, undefinable, inexplicable, right? But experienceable, right? Or inferable. So, anirvachaniya rupam means of inexplicable nature. And what are the 9 classifications? We'll see, right? So, the unclassifiability, indefinability is not only the main feature of Maya, but it is the main feature of all the products of Maya also. Therefore, Karana Prapancha, Karana Shariram, Stula Prapancha, Stula Shariram, Sukshma Prapancha, Sukshma Shariram, all of them, when you start probing deeply, they will all end up as Anirvachaniyam. Exactly like the scientists, right? They'll ask whether light is a wave or particle, and then they keep switching between the two depending on the circumstances and the scenario, right? So it can behave as particle, it can behave as wave, right? So you can solve certain problems by assuming it's a wave. Some problems you assume it's a particle, right? So it is also anirvachaniyam, if you see. So these are all extensions of the anirvachaniyam of Maya. Vedanta says any anatma you take and start probing at the superficial level, it will be clearly identified. But as you go deeper and deeper, there will be a point when this becomes anirvachaniyam, right? So it becomes all of them. The gray area starts emerging as we go deeper and deeper. So thus every unreal thing is anirvachaniyam, right? And as we get heavier and heavier into it, we will realize, right? Why does this happen? And last class, we saw that Prakriti, the Maya, has got twofold power. We saw Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti. And I said with the help of Vikshepa Shakti, it projects an unreal world. So Maya projects an unreal world, a mysterious world, an indefinable world, exactly like the sleep projects an unreal dream world, right? So Maya projects an unreal world. Now we are asking the question, is Maya itself unreal or real, right? So the world it projects is unreal, but is Maya real or unreal? Put in a different language, Bhagavan's power, Paramesha Shakti, the omnipotence of the Lord that we talk about, is this Shakti of God, the power of God, real or unreal? It's a very big debate in the theological systems. And most of the theologies, if you see many of them, like it can be any of these systems, like whether it is Buddhism, Jainism, any of them, they all discuss this, right? So, and most of them say, at least the Astika ones say, Bhagavan is real, Bhagavan's power is also real. So if Bhagavan is real, then the power also must be real. Whereas Vedanta alone immediately differs from most of the systems which accept Bhagavan. Remember that we're talking about Astika systems, those that accept Bhagavan and the power, and Vedanta says Bhagavan is consciousness, which is real. Bhagavan, the consciousness principle is real, but Bhagavan's power, the creative power called Maya, is unreal. Okay? This is what Vedanta says. Maya is unreal. So, Sat na api, asat na api, ubhayatmika na. So the unreality is brought out in the very first quarter of the shloka. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano, which is split as sanna satna. We have to make 3 sentences. Maya satna bhavati, right? Maya asatna bhavati. Maya ubhayatmika na bhavati, right? All of that. This na and u becomes no. So, Maya satna bhavati, asatna bhavati, ubhayatmikana bhavati. So, Maya does not come under the category of existent category. You cannot say Maya is existent. So, then immediately what happens? Our intellect asks, oh, is it non-existent then? You can't say that also. It is not non-existent. Therefore, Acharya says, don't swing between the two extremes, right? It doesn't come under non-existent, doesn't come under existent category. Now you can say it is a combination of 1 and 2. No, it is not a combination of existent and non-existent category also. Then what category is it? It is different from all these three possibilities. It is neither existent, nor non-existent, nor existent non-existent. The category it fits into is, if at all you want to fit it into a category, it is anirvachaniyam, seemingly existent. Swamiji uses this word seemingly existent in English to roughly translate, and anirvachaniyam is experientially available, but on probing you find it is mysterious, right? So let's go back to this example we saw before. What is unreal while dealing with the words mithya and ajnana kalpitan? The word mithya of the verse 10 and the word ajnana kalpitan of the verse 17. Both of them we explained as unreal. Right? Now you have to bring that idea here in this context also. Anirvachaniyam also means mithya. And to understand mithya, we thought of an example. We gave this example. We discussed this. What is that? Right? Dream world is existent or non-existent. You can never clearly say. Because when we are in dream, for a dreamer in the dream world, the world will come under what category? Existent category only. He will swear in the dream that the world is existent. It is objectively existent. It is independently existent. I'm able to handle dream money. I can even drink dream water. I can even hear the sound, right, of drinking as a dreamer in dream. It is experienceable, it is transactable, and it is useful also, this water, the dream water. And the dream thirst is removed by dream water. Thus, the entire dream world is objectively, tangibly, clearly existent. And the dreamer swears that it is real. So the word real means independently existent. But even though I swear so at that time, on waking up, I find that the entire dream world becomes non-existent. Therefore, in the waking state, dream world becomes non-existent, and during dream time, it is existent. Thus, sometimes it appears to be existent, sometimes it becomes non-existent. So, what is truly existent must be available in all the three periods of time, right? You will see that. Trikale. Trikale api tishtati. So dream world is available only in dream. Therefore, it is existent in dream, non-existent in waking. Therefore, you cannot clearly categorize that into either. Then can you say it's a mixture of both? No, you cannot say it's a mixture. A thing cannot be both existent and non-existent. They are diametrically opposite attributes, right? So opposite attributes cannot coexist in one and the same locus. Therefore, dream world cannot be said to be existent, cannot be said to be non-existent, cannot be said to be both. Therefore, it is anirvachaniyam. And in English, we use this word seemingly existent during dream by borrowing existence from me, the waker observer. Now, Shankaracharya says the same is true of Maya also. Maya is neither existent nor non-existent, nor a mixture of both. You cannot say it is existent because on spiritual awakening, Maya will be negated. Just as dream will be negated on regular awakening, Maya also will be negated by a jnani on spiritual awakening. What is negatable on spiritual awakening cannot be said to be existent. But now it is very much existent, right? So you can't say it is non-existent. So in Atma Bodha, Acharya says, Shankaracharya, Swakale Satyavat Bhati. Swakale Satyavat Bhati. At the time of ignorance or dream, it appears very, very real. Swakale, in its own time. Satyavat Bhati. It appears solidly real. So Maya is Anirvachaniyam, neither existent nor non-existent, nor a mixture of both. So all three categories Acharya has negated. Satna bhavati, asatna bhavati, ubayatmikana bhavati. Then the second one is bhinnapya bhinnap ubayatmikano. Right? So in each you have to say Maya and bhavati. Na bhavati, bhinna na bhavati, ubaya bhinna na bhavati. Maya abhinna na bhavati, Maya ubhayatmika api na bhavati. Here the Shastra talks about the relationship between Maya and Brahman, the unreal and real. So what is the relationship between the real and unreal? Vedanta says this relationship also you cannot clearly define. Now you understand the predicament of the teacher when somebody asks this question to the teacher, right? You need to travel such a long distance to even understand these terms, right? So now coming to the relationship, what kind of relationship can you explain between Maya and Brahman? You cannot clearly define. Normally, we can say this is my brother, my sister, my husband, my daughter, my son, etc., right? Or my employer, employee. We can clearly define. But when one factor is real and another is unreal, it is very difficult to define the relationship, right? So again, if you go back to the dream topic, is the experienced dream world totally different from the observer? Or is it totally identical with the experiencer, right? Vedanta says you cannot say either. The dream world is totally different from you, the experiencer, you can't say. Because if it is totally different from the experiencer, remember, even after the dreamer wakes up from the dream world must continue to be there. Suppose you're having Tirupati Darshanam in dream and you are woken up. The Darshanam must continue. It doesn't happen that way. Right? The entire dream world collapses, right? Proving that it cannot exist by itself. Then can you say dream world is identical with me? No, you cannot say. Because if both are same, on waking up, when the dream world disappears, right? I, the experiencer, also should disappear. But I am there. I, the experiencer, do not disappear. In the waking state, I am very much there and I am able to say I had a good dream, I had a bad dream, etc. Therefore, I am neither different nor identical with the dream world, meaning unreal cannot be different from real. It cannot be identical with the real. So matter is neither different from consciousness, nor is matter totally different from consciousness. Neither different nor non-different. So it is anirvachaniya rupa. I can experience it, but I can never say whether it is different or non-different. So the other grosser example is shadow. When I'm walking on the road, the shadow falls on the body. Now, on the road, the body shadow. Is that shadow different from me or identical with my body? You cannot say either way. If the shadow is different, even after I go away, the shadow should continue to be there. But it doesn't happen, right? But if somebody pours, say, water on my shadow, I don't get wet, right? So I'm not identical also, right? So similar is Brahman and Maya, right? So the Shaktiman and Shakti are neither totally different nor totally identical. Bhinna na bhavati, abhinna na bhavati. Abhinna and bhinna. Okay, Ubhayatmika, why can't we say it is both different and non-different? You cannot say. You cannot say somebody is tall and short. You cannot say somebody is fat and thin. It doesn't work, right? They cannot, contradicting attributes cannot coexist in the same locus, right? So it is not different and it is non-different simultaneously. They can't be there, right? So the 6 classifications of Maya we have negated. Then Anirvachaniyam, we say seemingly different, right? So the world is seemingly different because on inquiry, you find it is not totally different also. Maya is neither existent nor non-existent nor both, right? So the third one is Sangapya Nanga Hubayatmikano. This is a technical thing for which we need a little bit of Tarka Shastra background. So Tarka Shastram divides the universe into 2 types. Savayavam and Niravayavam. Savayavam means Sangam and Anangam. Sangam means what? One which has constituent parts. A thing which has several parts. Example, our own body is Savayavam because it has got so many parts, eyes, ears, legs, etc. Right? A desk is Savayavam because it has got a top, legs, drawer, etc. Therefore, the object of consideration need not be a living being. Even inert things can be classified. Thus, everything in the creation is consistent of various constituent parts. So that is why modern science can continue to split into molecules, atoms, etc. Right? So they continue like that. Savayamam means has constituents parts consisting of subatomic particles, etc. Right? So Niravayavam means that which doesn't have any constituent parts. So in Tarka Shastra, they talk about Niravayavam entity. They talk about Paramanu, similar to atom, the ultimate particle which cannot be further split. So Paramanu is Niravayavam. Again, they talk about space. Space in Tarka Shastra is nothingness, right? It's not vacuum. It is a positive entity, one of the elements, and space also comes under Niravayavam or partless. All the objects are Savayavam and Paramanu, space, etc. are Niravayavam. Therefore, they study the whole world, they classify it into these two, right? And whatever is Savayavam, it has constituent parts and it is an assembled entity, like joining all the parts of the car to make a car, right? So every Savayava Vastu is assembled in time. Therefore, it is a product. Yat Savayavam Tat Karyam. Anything that is assembled is a Karyam or a product. Anything Savayavam is a product, and the corollary is anything Niravayavam is not an assembled thing, it is a Karanam. Therefore, Paramanu is not a product. Akasha is not a product, according to Tarka Shastra. So in Vedanta, we say Akasha is also born. So it is a product. Remember this very big difference, right? So Akasha is Niravayavam in Tarka Shastra. Whereas in Vedanta, we say Akasha is also born. I quoted that verse from Taittiriya Upanishad in the last class. Tasmadva etasmad atmana akashas sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayoragnihi agneravaha adbhyah prithvi prithivya oshadayaha oshadibhyam annam annat purushaha. Right? So Akasha emerges. Right? Whereas in Tarka Shastra, Akasha being Niravayamam, it is not assembled in time. Right? And cosmology also says that space was obviously born, right? Time and space came only after the Big Bang. So there's no difference, at least as far as this goes, right? So, Yat Savayavam Tat Karyam is rule number 1. So the second rule is whatever is Savayavam assembled will undergo change. So wear and tear will be there, right? So we experience as we grow older also, right? Anyone, a body has parts, and anything that has parts is subject to wear and tear or savikaram. So this is rule number 2, right? Anything that is Savayavam, tat savikaram, that will have undergo changes, right? So Niravayavam is Akaryam and therefore Nirvikaram. So anything that is not having constituent parts will also not undergo changes. So anything Savayavam is a product and it will constantly undergo change. So these are its two features. So whereas Niravayavam is not a product and it is Anadihi, which means beginningless. So if we have understood this, now we can see whether Maya comes under Savayavam or Niravayavam. So when we inquire into it, we find we are neither able to classify it as either of them. By suppose you say Maya is Savayavam, endowed with parts, a composite entity, then you will have to say it is a product born at a particular time. Unfortunately, Maya is Anadihi. In the previous shloka, we saw Anadhya Vidya. Just as we say matter is Anadi, right? It is never created. Maya is also Anadi. Therefore, Maya cannot be said to be Savayavam. If Maya were Savayavam, it would have had a beginning. Thus, Anaditvat Sangaha, right? Sanga. Sanga na bhavati. Sanga means Sanga. With parts, it cannot be there, right? Then we can say, can we say it is Niravayavam, it is Anadi? But it should be Niravayamam like Paramanu or Akasha. Vedanta says that also is not possible because Maya undergoes modification. Savikaratvat. Constantly it evolves, right? And it has Sattva component, Rajas constituent, Tamas constituents. And if Maya was Niravayavam, it would not have undergone any change. So Savikaratvat Niravayavam api na bhavati. So Maya is not Niravayavam. So Anaditvat Sangana bhavati. Maya is not Savayavam. Savikaratvat Niravayavam, right? Api na bhavati. So both possibilities are ruled out. So we cannot say either. That Maya is composite, a created entity, we cannot say. We cannot say it is a non-created, non-composite entity. So we are not able to talk about it. So it becomes mysterious. So that is why when we go to subatomic particles, then the uncertainty starts coming, right? So you're able to study them only until that stage, right? So after that, you're not able to classify. So here in the case of Maya also, you're not able to clarify whether it is, right? It is Sanga or Ananga, right? So it is not Ubhyatmika. It's not a mixture of both Savayavam and Niravayavam also, because they are opposite attributes. So all the regular classifications that the intellect can possibly think of have been ruled out. That means Maya we can experience, but as you probe, it becomes more and more mysterious. So the world, being a product of Maya, we can experience it, but the deeper you analyze it, the more mysterious it becomes. Our body also we experience, but on deeper analysis, it will become mysterious. So everything is a mystery, even though they have experienceability, transactability, and utility. Vedanta never negates their utility. Every jnani says world is unreal. But when he is hungry, he will eat also. He will have bhiksha, right? Unreality does not mean non-utility. We have to remember that. Use the world, but remember intellectually that the world will not be available for clear knowledge. It will continue to be a mystery, right? So Vidyaranya says, in fact, in Panchadashi, Maya is a question mark. Therefore, Mahadbhutani Nirvachaniya Rupa, right? So it is, Maya is Anirvachaniyam. Maya is unreal. The world is unreal. Our body-mind complex is also unreal. So if everything is unreal, what is real? That is what will be the answer to the fifth question. There is only one reality, and that is the awareing consciousness, but it will never be available for study as an object since it is not one, right? Sannapya sannap yubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinnap yubhayatmikano, sangapya nanga yubhayatmikano, mahadbhuta nirvachaniya rupa. Avyaktametattrigunaiर्niruktam.
Avyaktametattrigunaiर्niruktam.
Tatkaranam nama shariramatmanah.
Tatkaranannama sharidamatmanah.
Sushuptiretasya vibhaktyavastha.
Sushuptiretasya vibhaktyavastha.
Pralina sarvendriya buddhivrittihi.
Pralina sarvendriya buddhivrittihi.
Etad avyaktam trigunaihi niruktam. This avyaktam, the seed form of the universe, has been niruktam, has been clearly defined as undefinable, right? So has been clearly talked about in the previous shlokas, endowed with trigunaihi, endowed with three gunas, corresponding to the three faculties of the living being, which is Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Dravya Shakti. The resting power, knowing faculty, and doing faculty. Etad avyakta trigunaihi niruktam. Etad avyaktam trigunaihi niruktam. This is a great unmanifest, right? This seed is undifferentiated, unmanifested, avyaktam. Tat atmanaha karanam shariram nama. This is the version of Atma which is called Karana Shariram, obtaining before the arrival of the universe. Here the word Atmanaha, you can take it as Jivatmanaha or Paramatmanaha. From the standpoint of an ignorant person, it is Jivatmanaha, Karana Shariram. But from Shastric angle, we will say Paramatmanaha. So, Karana Shariram, if you take one and the same Atma, seems different for the ignorant and the wise. So, Atmanaha, Karanam Shariram, it is called causal body. And how to experience that Karana Shariram? one cannot go to the pralaya avastha, the pre-big bang state. So how can one experience the karana shariram? If you ask, he says, every day we do that. Where sushuptihi etasya vibhakti avastha. Etasya means karana sharirasya vibhakti avastha. It is dominant. Where? In sushupti. Right? Karana shariram is not becoming absent in any state. It will always be there. Only under one condition, Karana Shariram is falsified. When? In Videha Mukti, Karana Shariram resolves, right? So, only in Videha Mukti it resolves. Otherwise, right through all the Sharirams, in and through Pralayam, it is there. Now also Karana Shariram is there, but it is not prominently there. Why? Because we are in the waking state, not in the deep sleep state. The physical body is dominant here, right? So the Karana Shariram is dominant in the deep sleep state because we do not have an external world and we also do not have the internal world that is projected by the mind. The sense organs are also not working in the deep sleep state. So that is why Acharya defines Sushupti as Pralina Sarva Indriya Buddhi Vrittihi. This is the definition of Sushupti. It is the adjective, right, to Sushupti. It's a Bahuvrihi here, right? Pralinaha Sarva Indriya Buddhihi Vrittayaha Yasyam Avastayam. That is Sushupti Avastha. Pralina Sarva Indriya Buddhi Vrittihi. That state in which all the functions are resolved, right? Sarva Indriya, all the five sense organs of knowledge, all the five sense organs of action, none of them function in the deep sleep state. And Buddhi here means fourfold internal organ, that is thinking faculty, remembering faculty, emotive faculty, all these faculties, all the vrittis, pravritti, meaning functions, they are all pralinam, resting or resolved. Note carefully that all the indriyams and the buddhi and the antakaranam have been negated here in the karana shariram, whereas Acharya avoids the word prana. Why? Pranic function should not stop. If the pranic function stops, the person will be dead. Blood circulation has to continue, breathing should continue, right? Even though I am not aware of them, because of prarabdha, the prana functions, not because of our free will. Prana functions because of our karma. If breathing is will-based, then sometimes we'll forget to breathe. Therefore, Bhagavan wants to keep us going. Therefore, he has connected pranic function to the prarabdha karma. So the pranic function remains, but every other function is resolved. Such a state is called Sushupti. And in such a state, we experience Karana Shariram. Even though we say Karana Shariram is not sensorily available, it is not Pratyaksha Gocharam. We do experience Karana Shariram during our deep sleep state, not sensorily. It is revealed by the consciousness, because of which alone, on waking up, we are able to say, oh, I slept well. I did not experience anything, right? What we think as blankness or nothingness, the Buddhists actually call it shunyam. According to Vedanta, that blankness is karana shariram, directly revealed by the consciousness. It is called sakshi pratyaksham. Thus, avidya and maya are sakshi pratyaksham during deep sleep state. Therefore, etasya vibhakti avastha sushuptihi. That is the specific state in which it is dominant. So, with this, actually, we have now seen the Karana Shariram topic also. All the three bodies, Stula, Sukshma, Karana Shariram, all put together is Anatma. And what we should notice, all three of them by themselves are matter, bhautikam, material in nature. Whether you call it matter or energy, Karana Shariram is neither matter nor energy, right? But both of them are in potential form. Therefore, all the three bodies are only matter principle, and all of them are inert by themselves. They cannot do anything by themselves, and they are all jadaswarupam only. So, avyaktam etat trigunair niruktam tat karanam nama shariram atmanah sushuptiretasya vibhaktyavastha pralina sarvendriya buddhi vittihi. Now we'll enter into the topic of Atma, because of which alone Anatma becomes sentient. Athate sampravakshyami
अथ ते सम्प्रवक्ष्यामि
Swarupam Paramatmanah
स्वरूपं परमात्मनः
Yadvijnaya naro bandhat
यद्विज्ञाय नरो बन्धात्
Muktah Kaivalyamashnute.
मुक्तः कैवल्यमश्नुते.
So, of the 7 questions, right, raised in verse 25, now this is the big question number 5, Ko Sau Anatma, what is Anatma, has been answered. That we have seen. Now Acharya is entering into question number 6, Paramaha Kaha Atma, right? So therefore we have, if you see Paramaha Ka Atma, who is Paramatman, right? From an empirical angle, it is called Jiva. But if you include the limitations of the body, then the Atma is called Jivatma, right? So if you exclude the limitations of the body, the same Atma is called Paramatma. So the ignorant person includes the limitations, a wise person excludes them. So ignorant says, I'm a mortal, where the word I means Jivatma. But when a wise person says, I'm immortal, the word I refers to Paramatma. There's only difference in perception, not any difference in the Atma itself. Atma is only one. So this Atma is going to be talked about. Very, very abstract subject and very important. So this is the central theme of all Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, and Vivekachudamani. The one and only central theme is Atma. All others are supportive themes only. And that is why it is called Atma Vidya. So the teacher introduces the topic Atha after completing the 5th question, the Anatma topic. Atha te sampravakshyami. I shall now clearly talk about it. Right? Te means to you about what? Swarupam Paramatmanaha. About the Swarupam, the nature of Paramatmanaha, the self which is now thought to be Jivatma. It is really Paramatma, that real self I shall talk to you about. And why should we know about it? What is the purpose? You say it is after all abstract, right? Why is it that it is important? So Acharya says, I have to teach this because, oh student, you came to me asking about liberation. If you had come to me, as Swamiji jocularly says, asking for bhiksha, I would not be talking about this, right? But you said what? In verse 21, you said, Durvara samsarada vagni taptam bodhuyamanam duradrishtavataihi. I am being tossed about in this world, right? You asked for this vidya, therefore I am addressing you. Therefore, I am addressing the mumukshu. The course is meant only for mumukshus, right? Not for anybody who's just having a casual interest, right? Others can find other courses, not this course, right? Vivekachudamani or any of these for that matter, the Vedantic courses is meant only for mumukshu, right? And here the topic is moksha. Therefore, Acharya says, Atha yad vijnaya naraha bandhat muktaha, right? Only by knowing one's higher self, real nature, the human being can be rid of this bandha, will be freed from the shackles of samsara, the limiting thing in the form of the 3 sharirams. So freedom from the identification with these 3 bodies and claiming, right, basically I am a human being, I'm a father, I'm a mother, I'm a professional, I have family issues, I have in-laws problem, everything, right? Everybody talks about some issue or the other. All these issues we have mistaken, right? Why? Because we have mistaken ourselves to be the 3 bodies. Those bodies have become shackles. These bodies by themselves are not shackles as long as you see them as an overcoat or a costume for the functioning in the world. Because of ignorance, we have become dumb and converted these overcoats into shackles. Through self-knowledge, we convert the shackles, right, back into costumes. And life itself is role-playing, right? That is the beauty of the Shastra. Play the role well, but don't become the very role. Play the father's role, right? But if you become the father, permanent worry will be there. Same about children, grandchildren, etc. So mind will get preoccupied all the time with that, right? So therefore, bandhat muktaha, freed from bondage through this knowledge, muktaha bhavati. You will be freed. You will start to enjoy playing the roles. So when we spoke about the 5 capsules of Vedanta, we saw in the 5th capsule, by forgetting my real nature or ignoring my real nature, I convert life into a burden, a misery. By remembering or claiming my real nature, I convert life into a blessing. So it depends entirely on this knowledge and how I am able to assimilate this knowledge. Therefore, muktaha and kaivalyam ashnute. One attains the status or status of kaivalyam. Kaivalyam means what? Kevala bhavaha. So advaita bhavaha. I alone am the only entity in the entire universe. The universe does not consist of many things. It consists of only one thing, and that ultimate substance is me and me alone. I alone am appearing as all these things, just as the waker himself through sleep appears as the dream subject, the dream object, the dream universe. I alone, through Maya, am appearing as the entire universe. I alone am. This state is called Kaivalyam. Another word for moksha is Kaivalyam Ashnute, meaning moksham Ashnute. So one attains liberation, right? Now we have to get into the details. Many shlokas are there, but we are only going to be seeing 5 verses as chosen by Swamiji. Athate sampravakshyami swarupam paramatmanah yadvignaya naro bandhat mukta kaivalyam ashnute. Asti kaschid swayam nityam
अस्ति कश्चित् स्वयं नित्यम्
aham pratyaya
अहं प्रत्ययलम्बनः
avasthatraya sakshi san
अवस्थात्रयसाक्षी सन्
panchakosha vilakshanah.
पञ्चकोशविलक्षणः.
So we've talked about the 3 sharirams or body. Now there is a 4th factor which is very important, right? Which is unfortunately ignored most of the time. When I am functioning as a waker, I give prominence to the sthula shariram. As a dreamer, I give importance to sukshma shariram. As a sleeper, I give importance to the karana shariram. And therefore, when I claim myself as I always tend to associate myself with one of the sharirams, either the sthula shariram or sukshma shariram or karana shariram. So I become either the Vishwa, Taijasa or Prajna. This is care of Tattva Bodha. I'm not repeating it now. Please go through it. So I'm either Vishwa or Taijasa or Prajna. So when I identify with the physical body as a waker, Shastra names me Vishwaha, as a dreamer Taijasaha, as a sleeper Prajnaha. So always I focus on the 3 bodies, and there is a 4th important component which unfortunately everybody ignores, and it is the most important thing, which is what? It is pervaded. All these 3 bodies which are material in nature is sentient now because of a 4th factor pervading this body invisibly, inaudibly. That's the 4th factor which we take it for granted throughout our life. It is available throughout our life, which is called Atma, right? So we defined Atma briefly before introducing the Anatma, and we talked about the 5 features of consciousness. Consciousness is not a part, product, or property of the body. It is an independently existent, invisible spiritual principle. It pervades and makes the body live and sentient. It is not limited by the boundaries of the body. It is all pervading. Consciousness survives not only during the death of the body, even during pralayam, consciousness survives, right? Always consciousness existed, even during and before Big Bang, right? So that's the 5th and final feature. This transcendental consciousness manifests in the body and becomes the empirical consciousness, which we are very much experiencing. Therefore, we say he is conscious, right? Or he's unconscious, etc. So this is the fourth factor, which is ignored, taken for granted. So basically, Vedanta uses an example. Swamiji also uses this. He shows the hand and he says, what can you see here, right? So everybody says, oh, I see the fingers, I see a ring, I see the hand, etc. But what happens is everybody misses the light that is pervading the hand, because of which you're able to see the hand. Our problem is not experiencing the light. Everybody is experiencing the light. But whatever is ever experienced is ever ignored, right? So we ignore the ever experienced light. So Vedanta says consciousness is available, evident all the time. I'm conscious of waking, conscious of dreaming, conscious of sleeping. That time conscious is a non-variably available principle. Consciousness is thus evident all the time. I do not require a separate experience for it to become evident. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. In Kena Upanishad, we saw this. It is ever available, but ever ignored. This ever available, ever ignored consciousness principle is called the Atma. And when I use the word I, in the meaning of the word I, you have to include that Atma also. We include Stula Shariram, we include the mind, right? When we are emotional, what happens? We say, I am emotional, right? But I don't include the consciousness in the meaning of the word I. Vedanta says the word I should primarily mean consciousness, because that is the non-variable principle. When I was at the age of 5, I suppose I had an opportunity to say, I would have said, I'm conscious, right? At 10, I would have said, I'm conscious. 30 years, 20 years. So the non-variable consciousness is the constant factor, which is the primary meaning. Whereas the body almost changes completely every 12 years because the cells all change, right? So the constant feature is actually I, the consciousness. So unfortunately, the non-variable I, the ever-available consciousness principle, we ignore. Balyadishvapi jagradadishu tata sarvasvavastasvapi vyavritta svanuvartamanam ahamityanta sfurantam sada. In Dakshinamurti Stotram, this is what, very beautiful Stotram, a very, very deep Vedantic knowledge. So that's why we don't teach the meaning in the initial days, because you need to understand several Vedantic concepts to appreciate Dakshinamurti Stotram. But Vedanta is basically a training arena or a ground in which I identify with this consciousness and I practice claiming I'm that Atma. It's a very, very long journey, right? And Acharya is introducing this. Sa Atma sa Vigneyaha. Seventh mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. Therefore, he says, Asti Kaschit Swayam Nityam. Swayam means the self, right? The core self. Kaschit Asti. There is something called the core self. He says something because we have ignored that, and he has to introduce this as if it is a new thing, right? So, like just now we said, no, other than the hand, there is something else here in the hand that we are missing, which is called light. So it's a form of introduction, right? So here also Acharya is introducing that because we have missed that consciousness, that shifting of the attention from the body, mind to this non-variable consciousness, because of which alone all these are relevant, right? So Swayam Nama Kashit Asti. Here Kashit means Chaitanya Atma, right? What type of consciousness it is? Acharya is not using this word here, right? Only in verse 38 he is going to say Shuddha Bodha Swabhavaha, or pure consciousness. Here he says Kashchit means Chaitanya Atma, Bodha Rupa Atma, Asti Nityam. The consciousness does not die even when the brain dies. Aham Pratyaya Lambanaha, right? Here it means Vishayaha or Arthaha, which is the meaning of the word I, which is the real meaning of the word I. Body is just a costume for transactional purposes. So may you remember the real meaning is Aham Pratyaya Arthaha. Pratyayaha means thought or self-awareness. So the meaning of the self-awareness or the meaning of the word self or I is this Atma alone. And what is the job of this Atma? The empirical I, the empirical consciousness in the body has got functions. It does function when it is a part of the body as though it is part of the body, though it is not an integral part of the body. It is pervading the body, but consciousness does several functions along with the body. It joins the team as an individual, and thus every individual becomes a team consisting of Anatma and Atma, right? And the Jada Shariram, the body, is subject to modification or change. The changeless consciousness and changing Anatma, body-mind complex, together functions as a team, right? Karta is a team, Bhokta is a team. Similarly, Jnata, the knower, is a team, the doer, right? The experiencer, the knower, right? Now we'll focus on the word knower. When you say I am a knower, Anatma, the body, can never be the knower by itself because it is inert. Atma also by itself can never become a knower. So here the function, right, requires activity or change to know. So pure consciousness cannot be knower because it is nirvikaraha. So Anatma also cannot be knower. So the team, right, Anatma Atma mixture becomes the knower. So here this knower Atma, right, when it is part of the team, the knower Atma is called Sakshi. And Anatma as a member of the knowing team is called Pramata. If we are talking about the same knower, when you talk from the Atma angle as part of this team, you call it Sakshi. And as part of the Anatma side, we talk of it as Pramata, right? And when you look at Anatma as a knower, it is called Pramata. When you look at Atma as a knower, it's called Sakshi. So, Jnata Anatma Pramata Bhavati, right? So, Jnata Atma Sakshi Bhavati. That doesn't mean there are two knowers, okay? It is the same thing. It's just an expression. So, we talk about knower Anatma and knower Atma as though there are two knowers, but it is not so, right? So, the Pramata is a changing knower. Atma is a non-changing knower, right? Therefore, Atma is given the title Sakshi, which is the meaning of, what is the meaning of the word Sakshi? It is the Nirvikara Jnata, doesn't undergo any change, non-changing knower. That is called Sakshi, okay? So, this Sakshi Atma is a knower of what? Avastatraya Sakshi. So, Avastatraya Sakshi, Sun, right? The three states of experience, the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state, the three avasthas, right? It is the Sakshi. So I am the changeless consciousness. We're going to see Pancha Kosha Viveka and we're going to see Avastatraya Sakshi in detail. But here it is just mentioned here. And Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, I am the non-changing knower who am different from the other members of the team. I am the changeless witness consciousness called Atma, different from Anatma. And this Anatma is presented in Shastram as Shariratrayam, as three layers, or the functional way as Kosha Panchakam. Shariratrayam we've already seen. We have to see Kosha Panchakam. We will be seeing it in verses 45 to 60. In 16 verses, Acharya himself explains what are the Panchakoshas. So here it is enough to note that it is Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. I am different from the three bodies. I use the body, but I am not the body, right? So, Vyadigrastam Kalebaram. Basically, if the body is healthy, then there is no problem. But it is always involved with something or the other because of the aging factor. The cells are changing. The prarabdha karma is at work, right? So, the body will always be subject to some change or other because of prarabdha karma, right? So, Asangaha asmi aham. Asangatvam is indicated here. Panchakosha vilakshanaha, different from Anatma. So we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next class. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Please note that next Sunday we don't have a class. Instead, we will have it on Tuesday. Hopefully, thereafter, we will have all the classes as scheduled on Sundays.